So last week we have started understanding about the logging concept. So how to log the job statistics. Whenever we develop anything, whenever we are doing any work, we need to have the log information. So log means it's not only about the error. So when the job started and what time started and what time it ended and what are the rows passed from one flow to other flow. So total rows, the count of source and count of target, this kind of information we used to keep in track of it. So further, if there is any issue, we can go and check, or we can read on that source file. We can keep how much logging, so how much information we can able to store that is going to be helpful for analyzing if there is any issue reported by the business. So we cannot simply load for today and we are done with the load, something not like that. We have to keep track of what are the things we are doing, daily activities of each and every job. So that for that purpose, right, Talent has three major components which can help you to track the each and every kind of information about your job, which should be what moment and what is your project and which job under which project. These kind of information automatically it will able to track of it, and you can store in a file or database. So it's up to the environment. So if they have any table structure, you can create any database or any file, you can able to store this information. So it is a one-time setup always, like these kind of things, right? It's not a individual who wants to store a lot like that. We should always follow the project level setting, so that everyone whoever going to create a job, so that information, the job related information should be logged into the log tables. So log tables, we have started understanding one component, which is a log catcher. So log catcher is, what is the purpose of this component is to capture any failure, any exception. It's not a compilation issue. If there is any compilation issue happen immediately, or if there is any warning, or you can see the settings, you can understand simply. So that catch the Java exception, catch die exception. So die and warn components we started using. So any error, any warning you are keep logging in your job, it can able to catch that warning. So for example, here we are trying to capture file not exist, then I want to just give a warning message. It's going to be a information, or it's going to be a to debug whatever. So you can select the level of error message, and you can able to print that. So that can be captured and it can be stored into the file or database. And same way die. So if there is a connection failure, we are trying to kill the job immediately. So that information can be also stored into the file or database. So whatever happened with the job, so instantly, like immediately, you can go and have a entry in your file or a database. That is what logging. So we have given an example also. When employee is logging, every time he need to swipe out or he need to give the thumb impression, which so that what he's doing activity is when he's logging, when he's logging out, or how many times he logged in for a day, how many times he logged out, and how many hours he stayed. So this kind of information, how the people, companies are storing and capturing, and total how many hours, and at the end of the day, they'll simply give the report. You have spent how many hours in the total office. So they'll combine and calculate whole how many times log in, how many times log out, between what is the span of your staying in office. This kind of information how they are capturing, right? Same way for job also. If it's going to fail a number of times, you have to capture a number of times. If job is going to run successfully, that how much time it took and how much data is loaded. That kind of information you have to keep track of it, each and every process whatever you are going to create. So this is mainly for if there is a any exception, any issue occurred while running the job, or while going to hit the database or hit the reading from database. So whatever. So situation, it's going to any occur exception. So it simply capture the issue. So in this case, right, we have started that day, we try to remove the host name or a schema name. So it will try to hit that schema. If the schema is not exist, then what is the error we are getting? That's what we have seen in a log row, and we try to write that in a file also. You can see this is what the entry happened and what is the issue. The database is not available. What is this database? It is not able to understand what is this database. And same we can try run again, and we can see the same again when if this database is not corrected in your context file. So what is the context file we are using? Dev context file. So dev context file, you can find the database has correct database or not. If database is not correct, it is not able to find that in database. So where is our dev context? So dev context, still we have a wrong schema. So schema, if it may be typo, you just no need to write everything. So there may be typo. So extra underscore is there. This kind of database we don't have. So job is try to hit that. It's not able to find the database where it is like it's going to be a SIT or dev. Currently we are running in dev environment. So dev environment, it try to look for that database available or not. If it is not available, it is going to be thrown exception. That exception we are trying to capture into the file. So now already Friday we have seen one entry happened. Now we are again running. So another entry will happen, and you can see that today's date. So still the database name you are not corrected in your context file. So whatever will happen, still it is exception. It is not able to establish a connection to the database. So still exception happen. We can go and see in our log file. So this is our log catcher file. You see same exception, and it's not appended. File already open, so it is not able to write the data. So here, right, you want to keep everyday track. So always what you have to select, it should not override, right, every run. So we have to have add entry for every run. So every run we want to have a entry. So you should always select a append. If you are storing that log information in a file, so always you select append so that it will not override before run or yesterday run, whatever. There's a day, the job is going to run daily, or job is going to run every 2 hours, whatever. So you want to have that entry. It is any failure happened 2 years, 2 hours back, or yesterday. So whenever job ran, it is failed. The track you want to keep track of it. Old runs also you have to keep the append mode. Otherwise, it will what will happen if you are not select append? So it will overwrite the file. So you will miss that last run details. What is the exception occurred before run? So current run only you are going to see in the file. So to track every failure, you have to keep the, if you are using a file, keep it append mode. So always it will going to add extra entries to the new that file. Same file we are trying to append the each and every failure. where is this file located? So now new entry added, logs folder. You can go to the log folder. So you can see, right? So three entries happened. Every entry, every run. So every failure. So what is the DB input exception and DB, so all related to our schema issue. So it is not able to fetch that schema name. So it is entered and you can see the time when it is failed. So this is how you can identify at what time job run and what is the exception occurred, everything, and what is the job name and what is the component. So where are all the you are capturing the issues, it is going to capture. And you can see here, right, origin means it's going to give the exactly which point, like which component is failed, and message means it will capture what is the issue, why it is failed and all. And the moment is at time, what time job failed. And pair like a process id, root id, these are all like project level and parent level or job level, and job name and context. So which environment, so which environment also it is going to capture. So context is the one is going to give you where you have run the job, you run in a dev or you run in a uat, that information will give. And type, so what type of, like a db connectivity issue or what is the type, you can get. Origin is a component, so which component. And message is what exception. And code is generically it will give code for each and every error. So every error you can find some code. So mainly we what is what if you want to debug issue, what things you need what time job failed, and what is the component caused issue, and what is the error message. These three are important, other than it is going to be common. And which environment also, of course, if you are running in a different servers, you know, right, if it is failed in sit, so you can easily, no, easily you can understand that this is not a critical part, even context, because each and every job you are going to schedule in all four environments or three environments. So whenever you see fail, you will go to the log. So right now I am seeing in a log, you can see this folder in all the environments. So you can keep the log folder in SIT, UAT or production. So log will default in an environment. So you can find what is important. So movement and origin and message. These three columns will give you the what time and what is the issue. You can report to respective database team or whatever target source where it is failed. You can report to that upstream or downstream people. This is what is happening. What is the issue with this time? You can check. Or it is your data issue. Then you can able to identify where is the issue and you can report to the business. This is what data issue happened and all. Okay, this is a log catcher. So and we are storing in a file. Okay, another one is stat catcher. So t stat catcher. So what is the purpose of this component? You can understand it is stat. So statistic. So statistic means you can see the same in I used to say, right, this is a each component level statistics option you can find in your components. So that the same thing, job level statistics. So job when it is started and when it is ended, that information you can able to track by using the statistics option. Here you can see, right, T stat catcher statistic. That is the component inbuilt. All the components, individual component, you can see this option. You can check, but why we didn't using, right? Each and every component you are going to stack the statistics and all. It will take a time and it will print what the component. That much level of component level statistics we don't need, right? That's where we are not checking that option. But job level, you want to track the statistic, like when job started, that information you can track of it using the stat catcher component. It will give the stats of the your process. So whatever process you are running, so file to database context, this is the process name, the job name, or it is going to what time run and what time ended. That information we can capture using the stat catcher. So I'm just printing log row now. We can see what it is going to print. So what will happen if job is started? That information will be captured. So now you can see, right? So job is started, and you don't have you like job is started information, and you can ended also, ended with failure. So ended with failure. So this is the information. So two entries happen. One is for begin. You can see here, right? Message is begin, and second one message is failure. So job is started and job is failed, and how many minutes it took, and how much time it ran, the duration, and what is the job name, what is the process ID. These things are common, and you can find the moment. So 1 minute, 12 to 13. So you can find the second. So seconds, of fraction of second job is failed, and why it is failed, that information again it will be stored in your stats table also. So you can store this one again into the file, so that you can track each and every job related process. So I'm copying same file. We need a same configuration, just we'll change the file name. So I'm going to change the stat catcher. And these things also you can contextualize. You can create a variable, and you can create a context variable, and you can assign the context file name. What is the file name you want to store? Okay, and I'm going to sing this schema. And always this is also going to be append. When you are storing data, this kind of job level or a project level, it always keep the append mode, so that it will keep add entries whenever job going to run. You can see entries are created. Okay, now we can go and see our log. There is a file created, that catcher. Okay, so two entries happen. One is begin and one is ended. So this is how it is going to capture your any job related start time and end time. So this help you to track of job. If your job is going to hourly, right? So every hour what time and duration, how much it took, that information you can keep track of in stat catcher. Log catcher, when it is going to happen entry. So now you can see, right? Log catcher has how many entries we have? 11 entries. Okay, 10 entries total. So I am going to correct the database now, and I am going to run it. Okay, so now I corrected the database. I am going to run. Now you can notice which is updating, which is not updating. So now see, right, lock catcher there is no entry happened, and stat catcher has two entries, and you can see data loaded successfully. So now you can go and see lock catcher, there is no data added, because log catcher will work when there is a failure happened. Log catch, so catch the any exception or any warning, any error. So it will catch if there is any issue in your job. Otherwise, it will not keep add anything, or it will not track anything. But stat catcher, what it is going to do? It will each and every job start and end stat. It will add a entry. So now you can see, right, begin and end success. So job is successfully loaded the data. So that information it is going to catch it by the stat catcher. So always whenever you run again, if I go and run, it will again add two entries: started, job started at what time, and job ended what time. Statistics is a one which is going to capture each process start and end. Okay, log catcher, when it is going to run, if there is any failure, so only if there is any exception occurred, then it will be capture the exception and it will store into the wherever you are storing. You are going to store in a database or a file, it will have entries in that. So now again, if you go on log catcher, there is no entry, but stat catcher you will have a two entries again. So job run this time and job ended this time. So you can see that 4 seconds, like a 5 seconds, 5 seconds plus job is ran, and here you can see nothing have incremental for this log catcher 5 because there is no failure occurred. Okay, same way you have one more component, T flow meter. So this is you can again find, right? So meter, so like you can count the how many rows are processed, how many records are processed for each and every row you want to capture. You can use the T flow meter. So T flow meter, it is a calculator of your each and every process. Okay, so you just have the same schema. You can just sync with your log component, so it will print on the log. So to capture each and every flow information, you can find here advanced settings. There is a monitor the connection. So if you click on this, then only this will able to capture the information of each and every process related, like how many records are processed from file input to tmap, and again tmap to db connection. So each and every process you want to capture the records count or any count of process, you can select that option and you can run this. Then it will have entries on T flow meter catcher. So it will capture that information. So T flow meter, you can see, right? So 6 rows, row 1, 6 rows, and the load data is another name. So you can see that where is the process name. So reference. So reference is a process name. You can find that in your connection name. So we have provided row 6 is from T file input delimited to tmap. So that is what it is saying. 6 rows are processed from tmap to T file input delimited to tmap. So that kind of each and every process you can see, right? Row 1 and second process tmap to tdb output. So that is load underscore data. That is you have given the reference name and it will find the 6 rows are loaded. So this level of each and every flow level you want to capture the how many rows are processed, how many records are loaded. Those kind of information you can capture using the T flow meter catcher. So again, I am going to use a file here to store that information in file. I'm changing to flow meter. So I'm deactivating this, and we can run again, and we can see in the file. Available duration. So job is completed, and we can go and see in your logs folder. One more file is created, T-flow meter catcher. So this should have the each and every process, how many rows and all process. So that level of information you can able to capture using this component. It's a just you are using existing component. You are not doing any configuration much, right? Just your individual process you are doing it. Okay. So now you are doing this is a repeated work. So each and every job you have to do the same thing. So to avoid these kind of things, what you have to do, right? So you want a project level. So if you go and see project level settings, you can find that where you can store the each and every information. You can check this box, you can check this using this wall like a checkbox. You can enable this, and here you have options, right? How we have used implicit context concept, same way you can store that information using the file. So here you can select the file names, and you can select the path. So already we have created files, right? I'm going to just select the path. So this is the path where I'm going to store our logs information. And what is the file name? So you have to capture file names. I'm going to pass the file name. So default file name is here. You can use the same, or you can create a new one. Okay, we'll leave it as this. What is the wrong? It will create a new files. Okay, so just I'm going to apply the change. Automatically it is going to update all the jobs whatever till now we created in this project or workspace. All projects now I am going to create a new job, and we can see it is applicable all the project settings whatever we enabled or not. So just I have given And now you can go and see the right job is created. You can find that stats and logs in a job level. You can see whatever we have enabled in a project level, automatically it is applied to the job. When you are going to create a new job or existing job, it is going to apply all your project level settings. So if it is going to run this job, so it will capture what is applicable for this process. So there is no data processing, there is no, only you can see that stats. So what is the job is started, that information you can see remaining. There is no flow, data flow is not there, so then it will not create a flow meter. And there is no exception, so it is just we have given a print statement. If you made any mistake in a thing, then it will capture the thing. For now it's only capture the stat catcher. You can find that job began and ended. So this is how project level settings are going to work out. So it's a one time setup, right? So if you set up one time, which environment you are going to run the job, you have to pass the generic path. And you can set up that files and all generic names. It's not specific to dev or sit or anything. So this is a generic, so logs. So when this path is available in that server, it is going to create a log folder. Under that it will create a 3 files, and it will capture which are applicable for your process. So if you want to see flow meter catcher is working or not, you can add one more flow, t fixed flow input. So we know, right, T fixed flow is for, if you know the input is a fixed information, then you can have T fixed flow input, and you can use that whatever data you want to process. So I'm just adding one entry to see that flow meter catcher is working project level setting or not. By number. Okay, just I'm storing, and I want to have one record for this to check how many records are processed to the next component. This is input component. So if it inputs and it has a data, then you can process to the next component. So you can use a log row just to print and see. I'm just selecting. And you want to capture any flow meter. So how many rows processed from this component to this component? What you have to enable, you have to go to the connection, and you have to go to the advanced settings, and you can find that monitor this connection. When you select this option only, the component will able to capture the what many rows are processed from the input to next component. So you enable it, automatically it will say monitor. You can see that kind of indication, or it is a process between the your log pre-flow meter catcher and this component, each and every level connection. So now I'm going to select this, and I'm going to run. I'm not passing any context or anything, so I don't need to select the environment. So now you see, right, data printed, and log is tracked also printed. So you can go and see now it is a flow meter is created. So flow meter file is created. So entries added. So one row processed from row 1 to like t fixed flow input to log row, one row processed. So how many rows processed? One row. So that is what we did, right? So you can see that in your process also, one row processed that information. So now I want to capture the exception also. So here T Java component we are here, always we are using for T Java component for just printing and all. This is for logging purpose we are using. More than that, you can write your own code or whatever logic you want to write. You can create a logic. So I am going to create a simple code. This is going to execute. So I and int. So I want to fail the job. So what I am doing, I am trying to fail the job. You can write your whatever logics or whatever individual methods, whatever process you want to write, you can write in a T Java component, which can individually it will call the process and it will try to calculate whatever functionality you are trying to implement. You can use the T Java component. In general, we want to subtract or you want to add, how we are writing in a Java, right? Same way, you can use a individual component. T Java component, it should not expect any input or output. It's just a independent component. This specific to write custom code. So custom Java code you can write, and you can able to call the methods or whatever you want to do some kind of logics. You can implement in a T Java. So C Java is a independent component. It don't need any, because you don't see, right, there is no schema. So schema not there means it should not read from any component, it should not pass to next component. So it is a independent. So now I'm writing a simple Java code. I'm trying to divide it by 10 by 0. So it is going to throw a exception. It is saying it's not a arithmetic exception, something, whatever. It's a Java related. What exception it is going to throw, we want to capture that. So I'm just trying to print this. So now I'm going to run. So here T Java component we are using, and we are trying to capture it. So this is independent component. So this is going to run parallel to this. So these both are going to run parallel. So we want to capture that error, whatever it is going to throw. This is syntax issue, so it's not going to be tracked. If it is a syntax issue, it's not going to track in your project level settings, or whatever you are doing, flow meter or a stat catcher or a log catcher, that is not able to capture. When there is a job is running, exceptions only you can see, right? So it is failed with arithmetic exception, because 0 cannot divide it by anything, right? So that is what it is throwing a exception. So now you can go and see, it will create a log catcher. So logs on files, you can open and see it mentioned that which component failed and what is the error. So now you can see, right, T Java component failed and the issue is arithmetic exception. So here what is the understanding is, if you have set up that information project level, so all should capture whatever failure, whatever job started, ended, and whatever rows processed. So you want to capture the each process, how many rows processed. You have to select the monitor connection. If you are not selected, if I am not going to select this, then you will not have entry in your meter flow. Okay, meter flow, meter catcher cannot capture the flow, whatever rows are processed between each and every flow. So exception again added. You can see that exception is added again. One more entry added. So it is asking reload. And now you see, right, one more entry added. Here we don't have, it has a failure, but it is not able to capture these things. And my label. So my label is not your connection, right? You want exact connection where it is a overall job entry, how many rows processed it is giving. But process level, it is not giving the entry. So just giving a whole level. And stat catcher, you will have entries for whole how many times it ran, start and end. You are going to have entries. So the begin and end. You can see begin and end. This is how you are going to capture the statistics of your each and every process of in your project. So project level settings will help you. And same way, right? You can instead of storing in a files, you can select a database. So how to create a table? So we want to create a tables, right? We are going to know one more component, T-log catcher. You can take all components, T-log catcher, you can just select from here. Okay, so I'm going to drag this component, one, two, so one more, three. So these three components we are tracking, and we are trying to capture the created tables. So we have to set up that, right? So we need to have that schema. So we need to have the table name and schema. So to create this, so which schema you want and which table you want, you can just select a t create table is a component. It's just to create a tables. So you want to create a table, you can use the, it's a one time. So one time you want to, we have to create a table in our database, which like it is going to be a dev environment, or it's going to be a, so you can copy this schema, you can copy this schema. This is the schema is captured by the Talend, right? So you can copy this schema and go to the t create table. So you can paste here. It's not selected. Okay, now it's copied. I'm going here. Same way, we want a stat catcher table also. So just create this and go here, and you can create this schema. You can manually also do that, but instead of doing manually, we are trying to use the Talend, like to create a tables also. Just trying to create required tables in database. So one more we want, right? So we want log catcher. So take one more create table component. The create table component purpose is to just to create a table. You should not read or you should not process any data. Just create a simple table. So where is the log catcher? I'm going to delete this component. We don't need it. One log catcher. Okay, so we have a schema and we using t create table component to create a table. And we can deactivate these all components. We are just trying to create a tables. Okay, and we want schema, right? Connection details and all. Instead of manually entering the connection details and all, we can go to the metadata connection. You can get the connection component. Okay. So I want to create these tables in dev schema. So we can use a pre-component because connection is required pre, right? So I'm just using pre-component. And parallelly, I can run the components. It's the individual table names, right? So we have to establish connection from this connection object. And you can go. So here you can select the use existing connection. Okay, and table name. This is for flow meter. And this is for Any name you can give. There is no restriction. You can use same. And again here, this is for log catcher. Okay. So three components, we have these things. Okay. Going to run this job and you have to select the, so we don't have dev. Let's run very different. So default we are expecting here. So now you can see, right, tables are created. Log catcher, flow meter catcher, stats catcher. So this is how you are going to create a table, and you can go to your now you don't, you can delete this. We don't need. We are just create a tables we are using. Let it deactivate. Which environment you are going to run your job. So make sure before setting project settings, these tables are created in that environment. Like whatever database or you are writing in the file, you have to select the file. Now go to the project settings and you can change that to on database. Okay, it will automatically. So you want to store both also, you can select it. Okay, that is up to our environment. You want to store in a file or you want to store in a database, anything. So now I'm going to select the which database we are using, MySQL, and you can DB version is 8. You can type your host name, host, and port is 3306. Or you have already repository, right? So for now, in general, you will have a like individual environment, but right now we have a like or right now we have already database connectivity in metadata. So even you can just instead of typing the each and every table, what you can do, right, you can extract that metadata from the tables, so all tables, so that you can browse and simply you can set up it. So I'm going to retrieve stuff manually typing. We have to avoid manually typing, so we have to select that from metadata. So the tables everything, because we'll maybe have typo, right? So to avoid that, we have to select log catcher, stat catcher, minute. So these things will get it in your metadata, so you can able to simply you can browse the table, respective table, you can browse it. So stats table, so you can find the, so you can select here stats catcher, and again your logs of catcher, and you can capture the, this is important guys. So when you are doing, right, so catch components, so each components level you want to get the static list also, you can select this is going to happen for all project level. So now we are selected only database, you want to select on file also, you can select. So both you can do that, but generally we don't need that many, right? It's going to be huge, every day it is going to run n number of hundreds of or thousands of jobs going to run. We cannot maintain in two different places, and what is the point of maintaining? So but still they are giving option, it's a checkbox, you can select. Even you want to console also, you can print each and every run related information. So console, file, database, so three options will be there to capture the stats of your stats and logs of your each and every job process. So stats and logs will be happen at file level, DB level, console level. So three options. So in interview they'll ask you how many ways you can capture the logs and what are all the the options you have in a project level settings, you can able to explain all these options. So mainly what tables we are trying, what files we are creating, and what is the options like a console, what is the option for file, and what is the option for database. So database selection and all. So now I'm going to just have a database. Once you set up right, it will not go if you uncheck also. It will be there still. Still you delete manually. So now I'm going to capture in both. So we'll see. I'm going to activate these two because we have written the flows. Okay, so now I'm going to run this. You can go and see. Okay, so it is done. If you go and see in your tables, so what it is captured, you can identify. So one entry added for table logs capture is a job name, and you can see one entry added. And now you can go and see stats. You will have two entries. So two, one is begin and one is ended. So it is because failure because of exception. And what else we have like flow meter, stat catcher, log. So log, what is the exception? We have a automatic exception. So this is how it is going to track every run. You will have these three tables will give you the history of each and every run, and you can easily track what is the issue because today you will not notice or next run it happened, but still it is going to be a reoccurring issue. You can drag and you can check in each and every table what is the issue, why happened, and how to fix that. This is a history of you log each and every process history of the log. So it will help you to debug the any issue, and you can repeatedly notice if it is happening every alternate or a few days the exception is happening. You can identify and you can figure out how to fix that and all. So this is very important, right? The process is to have the statistics of each and every process. That will be helpful. So even employee also, he is logging in, logging out. If we are not having the tracking, he don't have a work. He will come in 1 minute and he'll log in and he'll log out, and he'll not going to do any work, or he's not going to stay in office. Otherwise, we have strictly say you have to stay in 9 hours, 15 minutes. You have to be in office. So that kind of rules or that kind of process, a logging is there. Then only you will scare, right? Otherwise, if there is no work, then why you will come to the office? You'll just sit and enjoy in your home. So nobody is going to take caring of your logging. So when you are logging out that information, that is important, right? So same way in our jobs also, we have to track each and every person or each and every job. Their company is going to track each and every employee's statistics, and same way you have to capture your job level, each and every job level, what activity is performing, where is the failure, why it is failing, and why it didn't log in. Like that kind of each and every information you can capture through these three components. These are all generic, and every real time everybody is going to use the same set of components and process. And other than you can find the same components, you have flow meter component, you can just give it right same way. It is a in between the component to component, you want to capture the information like that. Logging, right? It's a generic. This is what the three components it will going to help you to majorly each and every job information and capture. Apart from that, you want to try to give more log, more information, you can keep on add your different components and different t javas. You can capture the each and every failure and all. You can send it to like a file or a database, or you want to send to the mail. So if you have a like in each real time, right, you will have a SMTP setup and all, so that you can try to write immediately when there is a exception, when there is a failure happen from the log catcher, whatever information we are capturing, right. So that information you can able to append to your mail, and you can send this file. Or you, if you are writing table, just select this data and whatever rows are for that particular day. So seventh, what are the failures, you can send to the mail. Or you can, you are creating a file also, so you have already created a file also, right. You can attach this file to your mail, who are all going to going to help you to fix these issues in your team. So they can take care of, look at this log and all, they can able to identify these are the failures happened today, and they can able to look into the job. So the purpose of this to make sure all the process and how to capture the failures, and how to debug the issues when there is a failure. If there is no this kind of setup, then it is going to be difficult, right. Next run it is going to success, but last run what happened, information we don't have anywhere, you are not storing, then it is going to be difficult to track the issues and fix the permanent fix. So it is going to intermediately some issues will occur, and automatically it will get recovered and it can process the data. But that we should not encourage, we should not wait automatically it will pick up next run and something. That is not the really, it's not going to work out. And real time nobody is going to encourage you to kind of frequent issues and all. So immediately when there is issue, you have to track it, and you have to identify what is the root cause, what is the issue. Then you have to report, or you have to perform required actions on it, and you make sure the process are running daily. So log catcher should not happen all the time, all the runs, only if there is any failure. That is very important. And next component is T stat catcher. So just to check a job, how much duration and job started or ended. And the flow meter, again, it depends. If you want to kind of each and every connection level, you want to capture the number of rows process, you can be able to enable. So connection component, you can enable that, monitor the connection option, so that it will capture the each and every row. Otherwise it will it's going to have entry on, you didn't provide that, so it will able to capture. But you want a specific connection name and a connection process, whatever row one is a connection, or you can label it in a proper way. You can label it, because n number of process, n number of components you are going to do. So you should not leave it row 1, row 2, like that. You cannot remember, right? So you want to give the proper name. So you can just double click on it, you can able to rename it whatever you want label. This is just a label. So like this you can label, right? So when there is a entry happen, you can able to understand, because you are the developer, you can able to understand. So okay, this is reading from fixed flow input, the job has some issue. So how many rows process? That naming is going to help you to easily identify even row 1, row 2 are like that, right? You have to open entire job and you have to see. But if the naming is good, then you are able to go to the exact connection where the issue occurred, or where the rows are dropping. So draw here here one row only, just you can able to. But if you have millions of rows, maybe next you have some kind of transformation logics and all, there you cannot you don't know the logic which is dropping the count. So here we have 1,000, but next component you are going to have 800 components, some 800 rows or something. So why 200 are dropped? So that kind of information, if you have that flow meter, so you can able to capture which process and which records are processed from this component to that component. For that purpose, we have a T flow meter catcher. Okay. So I'm going to stop here with this project settings main. the context setup, and one is a stat catcher. These two are very important, and even interview also we're going to ask, and you are going to use this setup for any project. So the law, this is individually storing in a file or a table, it's a depends, but still we are going to use this component, log catcher component and stat catcher. And flow meter, some people will not encourage because it's going to become a huge at the spew point, at the point of time, the table is going to be huge, and it's not really useful for them, so they won't use the people flow meter and all. But stat catcher, log catcher is going to be good, and good enough information to capture, because count capture we can do that using T-Java, and you can have a global variables, you can capture the what is the source count and target count. If that matches, your process is good. And log catcher is a very important, because whenever the exception happened, you have to get a kind of notify due to some issue the job is failed. So all people, if they are not using other two components also, they'll use a log catcher to capture the error. So because failure is important, right? To make it success, you need a failure. Always going to be success, you don't know failure when it is going to happen. But failures are happen, then immediately you have to capture and how to make it success. That is the point. They'll use log catcher component if they are not using other components also, and they are not going to use. See, in general, people, if they are completely with it's going to be a migration kind of thing or integration, if it is a huge client, always they'll try to do this kind of project settings. If it is not that big or that's not that critical process of ETL, then they won't encourage to do this. They have alternate options based on environment, based on technologies, what are they are integrating things. Then they won't ask you to do this kind of setup for a project level. So you can use in between in your process to capture the failures. So other two, it's a depends. So the project setting in general, Talend has a feature to capture things, but real time it's going to be there in all projects or not. It's up to their environment, up to their process, how much effort or how much way of things they are doing. This depends on they are going to use this option. Okay. Any other questions to me? I'm going to stop here. We will continue tomorrow. A few more comes like a components I will have to discuss, and maybe till